Hi all. In the previous session, we derived the equation for the sampler in the receiver. In that, the second term we had indicated as intersymbol interference. So let us start our discussion with that point and try to understand what is this interference, intersymbol interference, and how to overcome the difficulties arised because of that. Okay, so coming to intersymbol interference, when we transmit a digital sequence, say this is the sequence 1011 we have transmitted. Its time duration of a pulse is TB. Okay, as it goes through the channel, spreading of the signal happens. It happens for every other uh, signal which goes through the wireless channel or wired channel. So because of this spreading, it may look like this. At the receiver, you can see over here there is no difference between 1 and 0. Clearly the decoder will or the detector will get this signal as 1111 because the threshold level is so high because of the pulse dispersion. Here this zero level will be lost and thus signal cannot be recovered back faithfully over here. And this condition where the symbol from the adjacent bit is going to interfere with this present bit is called as intersymbol interference. Here the tail of smeared pulse enter into adjacent symbol intervals, making it difficult to decide actual transmitted pulse and uh, thus causing error in the received signal. Okay, as we already know, the PAM output after the transmitting filter in a digital transmission is given by V of t is equal to summation n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity an into gt of t minus nt, where this represents this shape of the signal and an is the amplitude levels. And at the receiver, we will be having the convolved signal of gt of t with channel impulse response c of t given by this equation plus the additive white Gaussian noise as told. H of t is c of d convolution of gt of t. Now this is about the received signal. Going through these equations, we will arrive at the point where we will get three terms as we have already discussed. Let us not go into further details, and I hope you have understood what is intersymbol interference with this explanation. Now to mitigate this, we need to have some particular conditions. That is, we have to design the signal for band limited channels. Okay, so in this particular section, signal design for band limited channels, we consider the problem of designing a band limited transmitting filter. First, the design will be done under the condition that there is no channel distortion. Later, we consider the problem of a filter design when the channel distorts the transmitted signal. Since h of f is equal to c of f into gt of f, the condition for distortion free transmission is that frequency response characteristic c of f of the channel must have a constant magnitude and a linear phase over the bandwidth of the transmitted signal. That is, C of f must be equal to C naught into e to the power minus j 2 pi f into t naught for magnitude of f or the frequency less than or equal to w, and it should be equal to 0 when magnitude of this frequency is greater than w. That is strictly band limiting the channel. Where w is available channel bandwidth, t naught represents an arbitrary finite delay which we set to 0 for convenience, and c naught is a constant gain factor which we set to unity for convenience. Okay, and when we take t naught is equal to 0, we will get c naught is equal to 1. For the distortion free channel, c of f must be equal to 1. When c of f is 1, that means h of f will become equal to gt of f for the particular frequency band, that is f lesser than or equal to w, and 0 for f greater than w. Now the matched filter output at the periodic sampling times t is equal to mt will be given by this equation, as you already know, and the simplification also we know that. This equation, using this equation, we need to understand we have to eliminate this particular term, that is intersymbol interference. And also this particular ISI present in the received signal can be viewed on an oscilloscope. Specifically, we may display the received signal on the vertical input with the horizontal sweep rate set at 1 by t, that is periodicity. T is periodicity. The resulting oscilloscope display is called an eye pattern because of its resemblance to the human eye. Examples of two eye patterns have been discussed. First, let us go through the general eye pattern now. To understand eye pattern, let us consider a received sequence. The sequence was 10110100, but as you can see, this is looks like as if it is a sine wave, but it should have been a digital sequence, digital bit stream. Okay, 1 for the complete interval of TB and then 0 for the complete interval, but it is varying because of the dispersion. Okay, now this signal, when it is applied to vertical input of the oscilloscope and horizontal input of the oscilloscope is set at 1 by t, then the resulting pattern generated is it looks like as if it is a human eye. That's why the pattern is called as eye diagram. And this particular figure indicates the eye diagram with different parameters associated. The important parameters are noise margin, which is the height of the eye, and width, where the time interval over which the wave can be sampled. Okay, let us go through these one by one. The effect of ISI is to close the eyes. That is, this eye will close if ISI is very high, thereby reducing the margin for additive noise to cause errors. As illustrated in the figure, ISI will be reduced if opening of the eye or the height of the eye is more. As a consequence, the system is more sensitive to synchronization error and exhibits a smaller margin against additive noise. That is when eye is small. The same has been explained over here. I will just go through the points. The interior region of eye pattern is called eye opening. The width of the eye opening defines the time interval over which the received wave can be sampled without error from ISI. So this width gives us where we can sample so that there is no ISI. That is at the maximum width point, halfway between this width, we can sample so as to get no ISI. And the optimum sampling time corresponds to maximum eye opening. And the height of the eye opening at a specified sampling time is measure of the margin over channel noise. As I have already indicated, this is the channel noise. It should be this margin should be as high as possible. Okay, and here this slope indicates sensitivity to timing error. So for timing error sensitivity, the slope should be infinite, saying that this eye opening will be wide enough. Next is, here you can see this particular crossovers. This is distortion of zero crossing. If it is small, then distortion in the zero during the zero crossing is less. Similarly, we have another parameter called as timing jitter, that is this one. Okay, this is timing jitter. So what you can understand from the eye diagram is we can get different parameters. Using these parameters, we can decide how much intersymbol interference is there and what is the condition of received signal, and thereby we can take corrective actions. Okay. Now, in the next session, we will discuss about design of band limited signals for zero ISI, examining